We are implementing, in this regard, the relevant provisions of the foreign policy concept of the Russian Federation, approved by the President in March 2023. Recently, Moscow was visited by Alexander Lukashenko, the President of Belarus. The visit gave an impetus to integration in all areas with our closest ally. And of course, the relations of comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction with the People's Republic of China are characterized by an unprecedented level of mutual trust. And with India, a especially privileged strategic partnership is developing. Significant progress has been made in expanding and deepening friendly ties with countries such as the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We attach special importance to strengthening all areas of cooperation with allies and partners among the CIS member states, including within the framework of the construction as well as the organization of the Collective Security Treaty, the Eurasian Economic Union and the Economic Union and the Union. An intensive political dialogue, including at the highest level, is maintained with the countries of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cuba, Venezuela, and other like-minded partners, including within the framework of cooperation through the Group of Friends in Defense of the UN Charter, which was created in New York, regularly holds its meetings. And at the level of deputy ministers, at the level of national coordinators, there have been ministerial meetings and practices. We will continue this. Together with our African friends, we are working on implementing the agreements reached at the second Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg in July 2023, as well as at the first ever ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in November. Last year in Sochi, the forum was established by the decision of the heads of state, as I already mentioned, who gathered in St. Petersburg in 2023. We strive to make a significant and realistic contribution to the intensification of the international discussion on the reform of the global governance system, bringing this system in line with the realities of a multipolar world. And I would also like to draw attention once again to the long-term initiative aimed at the future by President Putin to create an architecture of equal and indivisible security on the Eurasian continent. This strategic project is a continuation of Vladimir Putin's initiative on the formation of the greater Eurasian partnership, which is objectively taking shape as a result of the interaction between the integration associations of the Eurasian Economic Union, ASEAN, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and others. And these integration processes, their harmonization, quite objectively, not artificially, become the material foundation for building the architecture of Eurasian security. And with Belarusian and other like-minded partners, we continue to work on promoting this concept, the model of the new Eurasian architecture, on various discussion and political platforms, including annual ones. The issue is that all the speeches today speak of a tremendous disorder and confusion and chaos in the current situation and the resulting impact on society and governance, which has been a topic of concern for many. On the African continent, there is a pan-continental organization, the African Union. In Latin America, there is the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, which includes all the countries of this region without exception. However, the Eurasian continent does not have such an umbrella structure where all the countries of Eurasia, without exception, could regularly gather to discuss, firstly, the problems, but most importantly, to seek ways to capitalize on the advantages that history and nature have given to this largest continent, a continent that, in terms of the number of civilizations that have grown and thrived on it, is unparalleled. So this task is also for our political science groups, and I am sure that the Gorchakov Fund will contribute to the development of these issues. I have listed, far from a complete list, of the priorities that our diplomacy is working on. It is important for us, as I have already mentioned, to feel the support of the non-governmental sector in the form of the Gorchakov Fund, in the form of our other organizations, the Valdai Council on International Affairs, to be continued, the Valdai Law Club, Councils on Foreign Defense Policy. We have many partners, and all of them contribute to our collective reflections, including through MGIMO, Moscow State University, the Higher School of Economics, and other higher educational establishments. And today we are considering the further direction of the Gorchakov Fund's work, the key directions of future activities proposed for approval, which you have in your hands. Well, of course, I want to emphasize once again that the resource of public diplomacy remains fully in demand for promoting an objective perception of Russia. I don't like the statement that we need to promote a positive image of Russia. We don't need extra positives. We need to be perceived objectively. Unlike the West, which considers itself infallible, and of course suffers from a mania of exclusivity. But even in those countries whose governments perceive Russia as an enemy, openly stating this, they short-sightedly take modesty actions for many years ahead, trying to lay the groundwork for unfriendly steps. In these countries, there are many people who sympathize with our country, sharing the spiritual and moral values common to all world religions and secular humanism. And undoubtedly, life will put everything in its place. This year, we are celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Great Victory, the victory in the Great Patriotic War and the Second World War. The 80th anniversary of the founding of the UN, and of course, in this context, the task of doubling efforts to counteract the falsification of history is especially relevant, as well as attempts at ideological revanchism, which we observe in a considerable number of EU countries. This includes the demons of neo-Nazism, Russophobia, and other misanthropic racist ideologies. We will not leave unattended the task of denazification of the state that remains under the control of the Kyiv regime, which legislatively and physically exterminates the all-Russian language, culture, media, and canonical orthodoxy in direct and gross violation of Article 1 of the UN Charter and Ukraine's international obligations, with complete negligence and complicity from others. European states, which loudly proclaim their commitment to human rights and minority rights everywhere except in Ukraine, as I have already mentioned. But Ukraine is different. These are nurtured Nazis for yet another attempt to rally all of Europe under Russian Nazi banners for a war against the Russian Federation. In conclusion, I would like to thank all the active members of the Popchitsky Council for their contribution to the activities of the Gorchakov Fund. Thank you for assisting in the implementation of its projects and initiatives. I hope for continued constructive and fruitful cooperation. Thank you for your attention.